What's up, YouTube? How y'all doing? Wait a little bit of time. Give y'all some time to get in here. I hope you guys are well. I hope you guys are taking care of yourselves. You're taking care of your physical, taking care of your mentals. Everybody is feeling this. So I'm gonna wait a minute. I'm not gonna wait a long time. Try to get some people in here. I started a live earlier today on Facebook as I was grounding in my backyard. For those of you who are not familiar with grounding, grounding is it's a spiritual practice that many people do. I do it when I'm feeling off balance, when I'm feeling that I can't control my energy. And so one of the things that I do to try to do that is to go outside and put my feet on the earth. And it's energy is so powerful. As soon as I took my shoes off and I stepped on the ground, I mean, instantly I could feel the energy go right through my body. It's amazing. It's amazing. And if you're not into that, maybe you should try it. Try it. Go. I don't know where y'all stepping, but don't step on no bullshit. But it does help. It does help. And in these times, you might have to try a couple things that you haven't tried before to try to sustain yourself. I know this might sound crazy, but touching trees, touching plants, the energy transfer there could also help stabilize your own energy. Hey, Pretty. Hey, Alan. Hey, D. Joser W. How y'all doing? Thank y'all for joining me today. So I want to try to, I'm going to repeat everything I said in the earlier video because I want to make sure that everybody gets this information. Okay, so let's get into it. I'm going to cover a couple things. Y'all want me to start with the virus first or last? Sometime. Let's do the easy stuff first. So do the peace, Doug. Let's do the easy stuff first. Let's get the Comcast thing out the way because a lot of people have been asking me about Comcast because I did do a video on Comcast when the case went up to the Supreme Court and after oral arguments. So that video is on here. Maybe we'll find the link and put it on here. Y'all know how I am not a YouTuber. I get my life together. Anyway, but so the case went up to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court came down with a unanimous decision. And so let's be clear that this was not about the conservatives, just their view on what the law is or what the law should be. This was a unanimous decision. That means the liberal justices that we have on the Supreme Court, Sotomayor, Kagan, those justices, Ginsburg, they all agreed, with the conservative bench. And the only judge that issued a separate opinion was Ruth Bader Ginsburg. And her opinion was concurring, meaning that she agreed, but she had some other shit to say, right? And this is what I love about her, because, if you are like me and you read into shit, then I'll tell you what my interpretation was. So basically, the unanimous decision was that the way we read this statute, the Civil Rights Act, as it applies to contracts, the way we read that, when you were suing someone, we read that the legislature intended for us to use the but-for standard, okay? But-for causation. So just to bring you up real quick, they were arguing whether we should apply the but-for causation or should we apply race as a motivating factor causation. Two different standards of proof, right? So let me put it in other terms. Say you got hit by a car, right? And you're saying, I got hit by a car, and as a result of being hit by a car, I have spinal injuries, right? So let's say this was in this vein, right? There's a racial, whatever. You got to work with my hypothetical. In that situation, if the law applied as the Supreme Court has said, you would have to prove that the car accident, but for you having that car accident, you would not have this pain in your back, right? Now, Byron Allen was arguing, well, as long as it's a factor of the cause of the pain in my back, then it should be considered. Y'all following me? I'm trying to use this hypothetical so it'll be a little less dense. Right? And so if you had a pre-existing injury or some other injury, then maybe that is not the only reason your back hurts, right? And so Comcast is saying, listen, it could be a factor that you Black and we don't want to do, but it has to be the factor. It can't just be a factor. It has to be the factor, and you have to prove that in your pleadings. When you draft up your complaint, when you write that shit up, you have to put forth allegations that set forth the elements of that statute, which says you has to be but for, right? And so the Supreme Court said, we are not going to decide whether or not the complaint, Byron Allen's complaint, satisfies the statute. That's not what we came to do. We came to clear up the split in the circuits, right? So lawyers often talk about splits in the circuits. That means that in the circuit court, there are 13 circuit courts, including which includes the DC circuit. Sometimes the circuit courts over 1, 2, and 3 might be deciding one way, and over here 7, 8, and 9 are deciding some other way. And the Supreme Court has to step in and say, this is what the law is from now going forward, right? And so that's what the Supreme Court did. The Supreme Court said, let us quiet the issue on causation as it relates to the Civil Rights Act of 1981, right? And so they said, how we're going to go look at this going forward, so there is no confusion, is that it must be but for causation. Now that makes it extremely difficult for any plaintiff to prove that the only reason that you fired me is because I'm Black, because oftentimes people who are engaging in discriminatory behavior do it in a pretextual manner. They will find some other reason, right, and use that reason as the reason they're firing you, when the underlying reason really is your race or your sex or your gender or some other protected class. All right. So what the Supreme Court said, yep, that's the standard but we're not going to judge you. So we're going to send this shit back to the Ninth Circuit for them to decide whether or not Byron Allen's complaint was sufficient under the but-for standard. Okay. So now we got to wait. As Comcast had an argument during the course of this litigation where they put forth that we shouldn't be looking at whether or not contract negotiations are protected, right? The protection only comes from you making the actual contract, not in the negotiating to the contract. And Ginsburg said that's some bullshit. So I'm paraphrasing, right? Ginsburg said that's some bullshit, right? The statute is designed to protect the whole entire process, right? Not just the making of the contract, but the negotiating of the contract. Because what is it that we don't protect you in the negotiating of the contract when that might be where the discrimination occurs? So it's possible that Ginsburg was trying to give the Ninth Circuit a little hint, and to say, hey, if they can prove that with respect to the negotiations, then their complaint should go forward. So we'll see if the Ninth picks up on that, because I think that was a little, because judges don't typically write shit unless they expect it to have an effect, right? Especially Supreme Court justices, right? So the fact that she actually took the time to write that concurring opinion speaks volumes to me. So we'll see what happens with that. We'll see what the Ninth Circuit does. And if the Ninth doesn't rule in favor of Comcast, I'm sure that they will appeal again. All right, so that's that. Let me see any questions on the Comcast. Would you be interested in being a judge? You would make a good one. Thank you, Sam Sims 100. I've had that question many times. It's a hard question because I don't play well with others. And I'm not a policy person. I'm not a policy. We do things because that's the policy. Because policies tend to overlook people's actual real life situations and circumstances. And I have a great deal of respect for the many judges who are my close friends and confidants and co-workers and colleagues. I have judges that I teach with they are amazing, and they're always. Well, I had one judge even bring me the judicial application. He's like, no, just fill this shit out. And I was like, come on, man. So it's something that I think about often, maybe when I'm a little older, and I'm a little less rambunctious, for lack of a better term. But it's something that I think about. Right now, I'm enjoying teaching. And I'll just catch you up on what's going on in CUNY. For those of you, I'm a New York lawyer. I'm a New York college professor. I teach at a CUNY college. So CUNY schools have been doing online classes since last week, and they just changed our spring break, which was supposed to be the second week of April. They just moved it up and broke it up, sort of. So they're kind of giving us 3 days today, and then 3 days next week. Is kind of crazy, but I've had class today. And I want to tell my students, any of my students that are watching, I look forward to our online meetings. It is pretty much the only normalcy that a lot of us have. And so I was very disappointed that I didn't have class today with my students. And I have two classes on Fridays. I teach from 2:30 to 5, and then I teach from 6 to 8:30. So it's a long day for me Friday, but it's the highlight of my week. And so I was bummed out that we didn't get that. So for the CUNY students that thought you had class today, you don't. No school today. You have a mind for fairness and protecting the innocent, though. Yeah, I try. I do try. Thank you. I appreciate that. I'd be a fair and honest judge. I think I would be too. But don't we all think that we would be fair until we're confronted with something that you were like, fuck that. No, you going down. Yeah. You did what to that little kid? It was just an allegation. But I think that I would be a fair judge as well. And I'm not discounting it, and I'm not saying no. I'm saying maybe just not right now. All right. Comcast is done. All right. The stimulus package. I'm only going to say a couple words about the stimulus package because, in full disclosure, I haven't finished reading all 883 pages of the bill. And I will not rely on anyone else to tell me what the fuck is inside of it, because they're lying. I mean, I read up to like page 300. And then I was like, I went blind. It's like, what? You know how you read something, you just keep reading the same thing over, and I'm like, this doesn't make any sense. And that's when it's time to put it down. But I did get up to about the point where they talk about the businesses and reimbursing businesses and giving businesses loans, rather, during the crisis. And it's for businesses that have 500 or less employees, businesses that have 500 or less employees, and the money is used. The loan has to be used to reimburse you for salaries that you are continuing to pay, right? So you have to be paying during the crisis. You have to be continuing to pay. And so you can be reimbursed then. And if you do use the money to pay your employees, that loan is forgiven. That's the premise. The loan is forgiven. That's some of what's said. Now, what they haven't said is, for businesses, out of the $2 trillion, only $10 million has been allocated for those funds to help those small businesses under 500 with respect to their payroll. It's only $10 million. Now, here's the other kicker. The loan amount is limited and capped at $10,000. Right. Well, that's what I read. I haven't seen that. And I'm like, why aren't they putting that there? Why aren't they telling people that, a business, $10,000 for a business is short change, it's short money. That's not going to really help, not going forward, right? Because that might help you catch up, because you're not going to get the money for another couple weeks, maybe shit. So I've heard as far as maybe 4 months, but I think that's, the further out. But it's going to be weeks before you see a check and you're already in a hole, right? Some of us are in the hole after 2 weeks. Some of us are paying, need to pay bills. It's a cycle. The bills don't stop. So I don't think any of this money is going to help anyone. And I think it's just going to cause more debt. And then it's going to be followed up by another stimulus package that's going to do the same thing. Absolutely nothing. But I will do another video. It'll be a long, extended, very boring video as I go through 883 pages of legislation, which I'm a whole nerd. So it'll be fun for me, but probably for nobody else. It is what it is. And then you have to claim it on I haven't seen that yet, Adriana, but I don't doubt that you will have to claim it as income on your taxes, although it should be forgiven. It should be forgiven. So I haven't seen that definitively, but I think that you are right. Adriana, I love you too. All right. The virus. Let me tell you about a couple things that's happening in the hospitals. And this is not just New York hospitals. These restrictions are happening in hospitals all around the country. Some hospitals have a no visitor policy. Okay, you guys are not hearing me. When I say no visitor policy, I mean that's nobody. You cannot go visit your child in the hospital. And I don't care how much you act up and act a fool and call for the hospital administrator and do all kinds of bullshit. You're not getting into isolation where your kid is. You're not getting in. And guess what? Your child is going to be there alone. Okay? In those particular hospitals that allow no visitors. Some hospitals, and for adults, no visitors, no exceptions, no visitors. Some hospitals for minor children, if you have a minor child that is hospitalized by the virus, this is the virus and needs to be in isolation, they will allow one parent to visit. Now, let's be clear about what that means. One parent, you can't be in the room. You can be outside of the room, so you can't offer your child affection and comfort and the shit that you do as a parent to help them, calm them, which inevitably helps them heal. You will not be allowed to do that. Here's the other part of that. The one parent that is allowed, there's no rotation. You get no relief. You can't tag them in. You can't swap out. You can't have your husband come while you go take a shower. You can't switch off. You can't take Mondays and he take Wednesdays. You can't have your auntie. You can't. No. Okay, it's parents or guardians. That's it. No second cousins. No cousin from North Carolina who up visiting. None of that shit. None of that. And I say that because I got cousins from North Carolina who would be up visiting, talk about let's go to the hospital and see. No, you can't. You cannot visit. And the hardest part of that is that there are people who now have to rely on the hospital staff to give them information about their loved ones. A hospital that's taxed and overburdened and filled, and they really don't have the time to cater in the way that you would need them to, in the way that you would want them to, right? Because you want like an update every half an hour, half an hour. That's not happening. That's not going to happen. And I had on my live, I had one person say she went to the doctor, just to the regular doctor, and the regular doctor was like, no, just you. You can't even take your spouse to the regular doctor when you might think you have symptoms and you want to be tested or something like that. For that level of support, you can't have that. You can't have that. And I say all of this to say that for so many of you, and there are plenty of you, who thinks this is not serious, you will know how serious it is when you're on the phone. You're on the phone trying to get a status update on somebody that you love. So take this seriously. It's not just about you. It's not just about you. All right, couple of videos going around. Let me talk about these. There's a few videos going around. I'm quite annoyed and I'm tired. A lot of this information is readily available. Coronavirus has been around for a very long time. Okay, it's not new. It's not new. So anybody who comes to you and shows you a study of coronavirus, look, it was around in 2009. Motherfuckers, it didn't get on the Lysol can if it wasn't around. It has been around. Nobody is denying that. There's no big conspiracy. The only person who thinks it's a conspiracy is the motherfucker who's uninformed. It's not a conspiracy in that regard, right? We can talk about the other shit. But in that regard, coronavirus has been around for a long time. This new strain, the L strain and the S strain, is two strains of the coronavirus. This new strain is the one that doesn't have a vaccine. So there is one video where a guy pulls up a patent for a vaccine. The patent, I think, is out of France. He gives you the patent number. A patent just means that somebody is securing their ideas. It doesn't mean that they actually fucking created a vaccine. It doesn't mean that. It does not mean that. It means that somebody was like, if y'all ever make one, motherfuckers, this was my idea first. It's intellectual property. It's how you protect shit. It does not necessarily mean that there is already a vaccine. And I find it very difficult to believe that there already is a vaccine for this strain of coronavirus when we have, and I checked these numbers, worldwide, 26,896 deaths. Just in the United States alone, 1,513 deaths. I find it very hard to believe that if there's a vaccine and somebody is sitting on that shit. There is so that just makes no sense, right? But it sounds malicious, right? When you hear it, you're like, oh my God, they had a patent since 2014, 2015, 2016. They knew all this time. They knew, well, they have known about the possibility of pandemics. They have known for a long time. A lot of people have been talking. You go back, watch a few TED Talks, and you'll see. So this whole, we didn't see this coming, we didn't know that, well, that's bullshit. We know that's bullshit. Okay, wait, let me just check over here. Can I sue my employer for negligence? They require me to come in and I got the virus. Probably not, right? Because one, nobody's making you do anything. You could tell your employer, I appreciate you requiring me to come in, but I'm not. Thank you. Right? If you are deemed an essential employee, it's still your right to refuse to work if you are uncomfortable or you believe that you are in an unsafe or unsanitary environment. That's why we have environmental protection and we have OSHA and things of that nature. So you are not required to work. Now, if you voluntarily go to work and you are not provided the necessary PPE, then your employer very well may be liable for putting you in harm's way without the proper protection, right? Without the proper protection. But simply asking you to go to work, that's not negligent. That's not negligence in and of itself. Routine service call, doctor's office in a local hospital and VA. No one is allowed in the building, including the staff. Wow, Doug. And you know, and that's my point, right? Because it's hard enough to be isolated. It's even more difficult when you have a loved one in the hospital that's also isolated. You can't fellowship with your family, right? You can't call up your friends and get together and have them give you a hug. I'm a hugger. I miss hugs. I really do. You know, just thinking about it, I need a hug. You know, but it's oh gosh. Well, okay. What is your opinion about the lackluster risk assessment, color code, and biohazard contingency plan within the low budget neighborhoods? You know, this is I think that this is akin to environmental discrimination, right? And I've talked about this before in videos. This is one of the areas of the law that is seldom talked about: environmental discrimination and how certain things disproportionately affect people of color, like where they place wires, industrial buildings, industrial plants and things of that nature that have runoff and that affect the air, the water, the soil, and things of that nature, which typically tend to be disproportionately in lower income neighborhoods or communities. And so what about that? That's intentional. There's no what about that. You want to talk about conspiracy theories? That's not a conspiracy theory. That is just fact. That is fact. This country has specialized in environmental discrimination for years. And so for that to somehow to cease during a pandemic, no, that would surprise me. That would surprise, but for them to double down on it, no, that's consistent with how they behave. That is consistent. And I believe I think Louisiana, there was someone talking about we need to look at I hate this word, comorbidity, and to assess whether there are factors we haven't taken into consideration when it comes to race, class, and poverty about this disease. Really? Okay. So, in addition to your getting the virus, instead of having underlying symptoms like diabetes, heart attack, things of that, and heart disease, it could be just your underlying symptom. Your comorbidity is that you're poor. Yeah, you heard me. Yeah, your comorbidity might be that you're black. Yeah. Yeah, think about that. Think about run that around your mouth for a little while. Uh-huh. Okay, couple other things about the virus. Some studies that I have read have shown that the healthy people that have succumbed to this virus have had in their system ibuprofen. I don't listen. Sometimes we have to take things with a grain of salt. I've read this in a number of different studies, and so I'd like to take caution because I don't know. And growing up 5%. When in doubt, do it out. You heard? When in doubt, do it out. And so I'm going to caution you: do not take ibuprofen. If you are to start experiencing any symptoms, whether you believe they're associated with COVID-19 or not, do not take Motrin, Advil, or anything with ibuprofen in it, because it is said to make your body more susceptible to the virus. Okay, so please be careful with that. Take Tylenol, acetaminophen, and that's about it. All right, don't take anything else. Use your grandmother's remedies for the fever, right? Vicks, sweat it out, bath, a lukewarm bath or a cool bath. There are other ways to bring your temperature down, and so engage in some of those. Ike, are you immune after you get the COVID-19 virus? Okay, so basic studies of virology, you would assume, right, that you would build up antibodies once you contract the virus, and those antibodies would protect you from getting the virus again. Well, there have not been enough studies on people who have recovered, right, in order for them to get samples from those people who have recovered and test those antibodies to see exactly what those antibodies are going to do and how long they're going to last. Because remember, for the flu, you can get a shot, right? You get a shot, your immunity is good for how long? Till the next season. It's 1 year, right? So I don't want people to think that if you get the COVID, that you might be then immune forever. After that, you're good. I had it. That's not true, right? Because this virus is new. We don't know how long you would be immune, if immune at all. There's no way to tell. So let me give you a couple of numbers, because there are people who have recovered, but the response in this country has been, there's just no word for it, really. And I'm a wordsmith, and there's just inadequate is inadequate, right? Inadequate just doesn't do it justice. But in so far, these are the most recent stats. I got these off of corona.help. Corona.help. The United States. Well, let me do the world. In the world, so far, we have passed the 500,000 mark of infected people. We are at 587,000 plus. Of those, someone asked me how many people have recovered, Ike. Of those reported recoveries, 132,000 plus people have recovered. So there are people who we could get antibodies from, but that's not our focus right now. In the United States, we are almost at 100,000. At least when I started this, we were at 98,000, and we might be past 100,000 in 20 minutes. It's possible, but we're damn close. We're at 98,000 in 80. Deaths in the United States, we are at 1,513. So over 1,500 deaths. And in the United States, recovered 2,453 reported recoveries. I don't know what the disconnect is between the 98,000 who are infected and only the 2,000 have recovered. I'm sorry, y'all. I gotta open up a window. Yeah, no, I'm not getting dressed either. So I got on my house dress, which was a old summer dress. I'm not getting dressed. I'm not in the mood. Fuck that shit. What's your advice on how people should spend their stimulus check? Okay, so a couple things. You should be watching the stock market, right? Because eventually that bitch is gonna bottom out. Right now it's up and down, up and down. It's a lot of volatility. What's wrong with me today? I can't talk. Okay. Volatility or whatever. It's going up and down. You know what the hell I mean. But when it goes low, when it gets really low, there are some really good stocks that you might want to try to get in on. Stocks that you probably would not be able to get in on at any other time, because they will never be this low again, right? The problem is trying to calculate when that bottom is, right? Trying to calculate when the bottom is and when it's the right time to buy, because you don't want to buy and then have that shit drop again, right? So you got to watch it. You got to, listen to the forecasters, listen to the indexes, pay attention. Look at the 52-year highs as opposed to the 52-year lows. I would be buying some good stock with my stimulus check. I am already. I got my eye on a couple. I see Pepsi slipping. JetBlue was down to 7. Then they had a surge. It was back up to 12. I mean, so pay attention to the airline stocks because the government's gonna bail them out, right? So they might be tanking now, but when they get bailed out, they're gonna be back up. We need planes. We gotta have planes, right? And Carnival Cruise, the airline stocks, Royal Caribbean, those stocks are low now. They're gonna go back up to manufacturing. So not sure about GM, right? They're supposed to be repurposing some of their plants to deal with this virus. Ford was closing all of its stuff. I got in on Ford. I think I told you guys I bought Ford at $2 a share, and then it went up to like 6 once they announced that Ford was going to be working with GM, GE, whoever to make the mask. So I don't know where it is now. But these are the things that you should be watching because we need to not be in this situation again. And if you only have one stream of income, you need to never be in that position, that situation again, right? You need to have other ways to generate income. And that's one of them. Okay, got some black seed oil. Yeah, I got that in my arsenal. All right, y'all want to know what's in my arsenal? Yes, they did say use Tylenol. I'll reiterate that. Black seed oil is in my arsenal. My go-to is oil of oregano. I've been using that for years. I've been touting it for years. People have laughed at me for years. Now you probably can't find that shit. All right. You want to combine that oil oregano. I like using it with olive leaf extract. It gives you a double boost into your immune system. Olive leaf extract. I also do colloidal silver. I have that. I'm big on the sublinguals, right? Because you also want to make sure that whatever you're taking, it's going to get to your system in the most efficient way, right? And so if you're taking something, make sure you're taking the right way, take it the proper way. If you're taking certain vitamins, some vitamins don't uptake unless you take another vitamin, right? Some stuff need carriers. So make sure that you're educating yourself and you're not just out there taking shit because somebody else said take it. All right, except for me. If I tell you to take something, take it. So I'm sorry if I'm going fast. I have issues. Thank you, Adriana. I'm trying to get my people want to stay. We are, when it comes to finances and the market, it's one of the places that there is a dearth of us. And we need to change that. We need to change that. And it's not something to be afraid of. Put your Robinhood in. True, I need to put my Robinhood. Let me see. I got to put the link up. I don't know how to do it from here. I'll post up my Robinhood in a little while. I have done it though, and I'll tell you, I did get a bunch of free stocks. I did. I got about 15 free different stocks. Some of them I got the same stock a couple times, but shit, I ain't mad. I got Halliburton. Like I wouldn't have bought that shit, but I got it free. So you set up a Robinhood account when you refer someone. They get a free stock, you get a free stock. And you don't know how much that stock could be. I've gotten stocks anywhere from just $3 all the way up to $7. I got a friend who got Johnson & Johnson stock. That shit was $130. I was like, oh, why? That's not fair. I got Marathon Oil stock. I got a couple Bed Bath & Beyond. I'm reading you from my Robinhood app right now. SunPower. Some of these I don't know what they are. But these are the free stocks. And when I get a free stock, then I go look it up. I have Sirius XM, and I'll show you everything is in red right now. You know, if you can see that. Oh, you can see that. Everything is down, down, down. Yeah. Yeah, and I don't have a lot of shares of shit. I got, I'm doing the minimum. I'm doing the minimum right now. This is like $250. But I wouldn't do anything bigger than that. Not now. Not with the validity. Validity? Up and down in Milwaukee. All right, whatever. I'm gonna get my vocabulary together after this. What else is in here? I told you about how Liberton bought 4 GoPro. It's slipping every day. It's up and down. But there are some, Amazon and all of the $1,000 a share stocks. You can buy part. You can buy partial stocks, depending on what type of account you have. And so, do your research. Do your research. Yeah, get in the door. I agree. Just get in the door. Start with something small. You can start a Robinhood account with $10. All right, $10. This is you gonna listen. You know how when you go to smoke and your people want to match you. All right, next time you sit down with your friends and they want to tell them motherfuckers to match you in a stock. How about that? Can we do something different? Right? Can we do something different? Come on, man. We could do something different. We can. And it only takes one of you to start. It only takes one. Right? It only takes one of you to start. All right. See, it started with $50. Exactly. I started with $100. Now I'm up to $250. And that's just, from a couple of stocks going up and down here and there, and from the referrals and whatnot. So it's doable. There's stuff in there. You notice quarantine is getting people when your ex-boyfriend start hitting you up. What the fuck are you got? What do you want? That's hilarious. That's funny. I'll holler at him later. Well, there's one thing I can say. I don't have any bad relationships with any of my exes, including my husband, my ex-husband. I don't believe in burning bridges. And I think that as adults, everyone should be able to respect each other's decisions about what's best for them in their lives. And if you can communicate that in an effective way, then you won't burn a bridge. And in fact, you might just gain a friend and have some respect at the end of that relationship. Okay. What else I got? That's all I got for today, for right now. Peace to you, TKC. Let me see here if I missed anything. Precious. Okay, so precious metals. I'm not that well versed. I know that everyone says you should buy gold and silver. I just don't know what you would do with that. If you have, like, say I had some gold coins, right? And the economy crashed. I'm going to trade my gold coins for some bread. Because presumably there won't be cash, right? Like if we think this all the way down, right? Presumably there won't be cash. I don't know. Like I said, I'm not that well versed, and I might be sounding like an idiot. And I'm okay with that, right? I'm okay if I sound stupid about something that I know nothing about. It's called being ignorant. And ignorant is not a bad word, right? People assign a negative connotation to it, but if I walked into a surgical operating room, I'd be wholly ignorant. I can't operate. I'm ignorant. That does not mean that you're stupid. It doesn't mean that you're not intellectual. It doesn't mean you don't have the capacity to think. It just means that you are not knowledgeable about a particular subject. It's okay. It's okay. It's goddamn, it's okay. I tell people all the time, I know a lot about a little bit, and I know a little bit about a lot. And that's just the way it is. How can I connect with you offline? We in a pandemic. You can email me. Email me, ikiespeaks@gmail.com. You can email me, ikiespeaks@gmail.com. I can't deal with exes. And the beautiful thing is that can't nobody leave their house. So no matter what the hell you say or how good it sounds, you got to stay where you at. Don't be trying to line some shit up for June, motherfucker. Away from YouTube. Oh, just email me. Let me type. I'll put my email down here. You can email me. Feel free to email me, ikiespeaks.com. Yes, Adriana, I got the free stocks. What did you get? You got USD. I got a steal. I don't know if I got it from your referral, but I did get one. I did get steel, and it actually made me think about buying steel. So I think I have to look at that stock a little bit more. Okay. Question: are they arresting people, or are we on hold? Because Brother Polite needs to be in jail. Okay, Brother Polite. Let me just go get it. Ben needed to be in jail. He needed to be in jail a long time ago. And I did see a little bit of Young Pharaoh's live that apparently there were some allegations, and I think he said Alabama. I didn't catch the whole live, but I support the going in on that, dude, because I seriously cannot stand him. So as far as are they making arrests? Well, let me just tell you a couple things about NYPD. NYPD right now is experiencing about a 10% call out rate, right? So police officers, there are about 3,000 police officers calling out sick every day. So they are, let's say, maybe a little short staff. That number is probably going to increase over time. The same is true with the FDNY. I think they have at least 179 confirmed cases. I think the NYPD has confirmed cases as well, but the confirmed cases aren't affecting so much production as it is the officers who are calling out sick, whether their cases are confirmed or not. And so I haven't seen anyone being arrested. New York doesn't have that strict a policy. So I haven't seen anyone being arrested. I did see a YouTuber get stopped. I think he was in LA, and the police threatened to write him a ticket. I did hear that LA County police officers are writing tickets for fines as up to as much as $400 for violating the city's ordinance to stay home. And so we really don't have that strict restrictions on us right now. So I don't think anyone would be arrested, at least not here in New York, at least not yet. And the other thing is right now, the New York courts were really ill-equipped to deal with any type of influx of arrestees because the courts are understaffed right now, and they're transitioning to virtual arraignments, right? And so lawyers, we all have to get this Skype, and we all have to get set up in the system. So I don't think they're going to be bringing bodies through like that. But if they did, they probably gonna sit around for a while because it's just not a lot of people around to push those cases through. So I don't think they're going to be arresting people now. In Cleveland, Ohio, Cleveland Clinic is doing doctor's house calls. Wow, Lady Ace, that's interesting. Advil is ibuprofen. Velton, please do not take that. Advil, Motrin, all the same thing, ibuprofen. That's interesting that a doctor's making house calls. You know, that's probably safer than him working in a hospital. You know, that's probably safer than him or her. Let me not discriminate against our female doctors out here. It's probably safer than working in a hospital. All right, I'm just going up through the comments because I'm terrible at that. It's not enough staff to give so many updates like that. They are swamped. Right, that's back to the hospital. If your loved one is in a hospital, you're not going to get any updates. And unfortunately, the call that you might get is he or she didn't make it. It's a bailout for corporations. Yeah, the bailout is, I mean, I'm going to finish reading it, but I haven't seen anything that I think would help the average American citizen. I don't see anything. Nope. Don't. All right. So stay home, fam. I went for I read that one already. I respect you as your opinion about I read that too. I think I got them all. Fam. Thank you all for joining me. I hope you guys are availing yourself of all of the talented people that are lending their talents to keep us spirited during this times. You know, the DJs that are on Instagram, D Nice, D Nice. I've been rocking with D Nice, so I can't front. But John Quick, I've been rocking with John Quick a couple times too. Who else is out there? Talib Kweli, Quest. I'm gonna just say something to you, Quest. Love. Stop playing all that sad ass music. Well, one day he was playing some music one night. I was like, he trying to get people to kill themselves. This shit was horrible. I had to turn that shit off. I'm like, listen, I need upbeat music, or I need something I can sing to. I don't want to be thinking about people who died and people who's sick, and I don't know, it's terrible. But avail yourself. There are a lot of comedians that are also going live with other comedians telling jokes and stories. And Effion Crawford was on. I saw a bunch of people, but you know, avail yourself of that too. Don't just sit and watch the damn news, you know, because it's hard. While it's hard to turn away because you don't want to miss anything. I know for me, I need to be informed. So and I'm on all the news channels. I'm on C-SPAN. I'm on Fox. I'm on MSNBC. I'm on CNN. I'm on the local news. I'm on 12. I'm on the Independent. I'm on paper. I'm on the websites. I'm on YouTube, because you can't rely on just one source for information. And you must always cross-check, cross-reference, cross-put to see if the information that you did receive was in fact valid. Last thing I want to say: be responsible for the things that you share. You don't have shit to do right now. No, I'm kidding. I know a lot of people still got a lot of shit to do, especially with kids home. But if you're going to hit that share button, whether you're on Facebook or any other platform, at least take the time to make sure what you're sharing is accurate. Make sure what you're sharing is accurate. That's not hard. One of the things that you can do is Google the article, Google the story, see if it appears in any other publications that are reputable, that you know that can back up the story. That is sort of like a peer review. That you have more than one source. All right. So do that, please. Do that, because in this state of anxiety, just sometimes seeing the headlines is too fucking much. Especially with the missing kids shit. Like all of you people sharing the missing kids that's been found, and they didn't update the article headline, and you gotta click on it, and first thing you see is child found. Stop sharing that shit. If the kid is found, stop sharing that his ass is missing or her ass is missing. Like let's be responsible in that regard, right? Let's be responsible for our energy. Let's be responsible for our information. All right. Let's not be bots. Let's not be Trump tards. Let's not be Russian bots. All right. All right. I love y'all. Oh, wait. Judge Pink. Oh, yeah, that judge. I saw her. You know, I got to say this before I go. I saw that judge. Black woman judge issuing warrants to people who didn't show up to court during a pandemic. First of all, I don't think any of those warrants are going to stand. I think whatever the court administrator there is going to make sure that all of those warrants are vacated. Because if someone doesn't show up during a pandemic, it is for a good cause. And you can't issue a warrant against someone unless they voluntarily and willfully are not showing up. Their ass could be in a fucking hospital for all she knows. And just because she's a black judge, let me tell you right now, when it comes to this system, all our skin folk ain't our kin folk. That's just the reality of it. And she should be ashamed of herself. And I'm going to say this with one black attorney to another female black attorney, because you were an attorney before you put that fucking robe on. And and this is, not to disparage judges, but I don't give a fuck about a robe. You got the same goddamn degree hanging on your wall that I got on my goddamn wall. That's all that is. You went that way, I went this way. You got a robe, I got a suit. We got the same fucking degree. Right? And so I'm disgusted by that. But you know what? That's the thing about power. When you have power, right? What is the saying? Absolute power corrupts absolutely. And that sometimes just having a little bit power corrupts a lot, unfortunately. And I think that's a situation with that. All right, fam. I love you guys. Stay safe. I'm trying to be on. I teach on Friday, so I'm thinking maybe I could do this every Friday before I teach. But a week is a long time in this pandemic, so I'm trying to come on as often as I can to try to give y'all as much information as I can. If y'all have questions, put them in the comments for the next time, and I'll do my best to get to them. Okay. All right, family. I love you. I really do. Ike speaks. Peace.